Jack.
Levi.
The Book Club from Hell.
It starts out reasonably, actually quite coherent. I was surprised by how coherent it was. The illustrations notwithstanding.
He gives you like
comic sans on a 240p image resized to fill your whole screen type of images. And then by the end of the book,
art.
it was much more similar to what I expected. And then to make the roller coaster ride of an amazing journey into the psychotic mind breaking the spell of the Ivory Tower by Jerry Marzinsky and Sherry Swiney.
We're going to say Sweeney.
It's a bit nicer than Swiney, even though it's
spelled, much nicer than Swiney.
Like Swiney.
I think that anyone with a name that is spelled like that is just going to say, it's Sweeney.
It's Sweeney.
Like, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Whatever it was, it's Sweeney.
But so riding the roller coaster of starting with very low expectations, it exceeding expectations in, okay, well, it's not full of spelling errors, which for self-published books on the evils of psychiatry it does actually put you above average if you know how to use spell check in Microsoft Word. And then it started, like the book degraded in my eyes as the chapters, some of them will just be maybe 250 words about just some wild thing that Jerry saw in his decades of working as a prison psychologist for psychotic prisoners in a variety of prisons. This guy's not...
The case studies are the best
not a
part.
tourist.
Yeah, the case studies are the best part.
Yeah.
They're not really case studies, they're anecdotes. But yeah.
And then the roller coaster went back up because I started looking at Jerry's personal website, which looks magnificent. Very old school.
1998 glitz. It's one spinning skull gif away from
perfection.
The God's Greatest GeoCities site.
Yeah. To make it even better, the resizing is all fucked up in that you have like text and links and stuff going off the edges of the screen. Even though I'm looking at it at a normal resolution, I don't have a monitor in a really bizarre resolution.
You don't appreciate the ergodic web design where, he's breaking the boundaries of psychotherapy.
Yeah.
Similarly, his website is breaking the boundaries of your monitor.
It's symbolic because
settings.
He spends this whole book telling us that there's not merely a material dimension to the world. There are alternate dimensions. Mm-hmm. And then what does text going off the edge of the screen lead you to do? It looks you read on the screen and then you go off the screen into the rest of the world, into this dimension beyond the screen. It's symbolic.
That's right. Most websites are only rendered in 2 dimensions.
Exactly.
Jerry Marzinsky's.
It's a very high dimensional website. But then I got onto his CV, which is impressive. It's unusual for these sorts of books to be written by people who, when I look at their background, I think, oh, okay, you are like you're not trying to scam people. He seems genuinely concerned for people's well-being. And
I don't think you're like a clinical psychiatrist or a psychologist in, for 4 decades.
Yeah.
Right. Without having also in like a
treating psychotic prisoners.
Also in like state hospitals and state prisons. Right. Like in plausibly the least pleasant setting. Right.
Yeah. So
I don't think you do that without
the real deal.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't do that without like having a calling to try to help people.
Yeah. So. And, I should just explain what this book is before we jump into it. You introduced me to this book after we recorded our last episode together on Vort's Character Reader, where you said you basically explained this book as, okay, you have psychotic patients who are hearing voices. What if we talked to the voices and listened to what they had to say? And
that's right.
That's just what this book is. It's a clinical psychologist, Jerry Marzinsky, and then there's Sherry Swiney, who I mean, I think she was a
Was it like a
civil engineer who is hearing voices. Has a bunch of just heartbreaking anecdotes in this book about child abuse, basically. Just like being abused as a child and hearing voices in her head and then working out a way to control her voices with a healthy dose of woo-woo. So you've got Sherry as the woo-woo practitioner and Jerry bringing the science, and they join forces.
As the clinical therapist.
As the clinical therapist. They join their forces to reveal not only why psychiatry, and particularly medication-based psychiatry, is at best a misdirected desire to help people, at worst criminal.
Sure.
Why that is not the way to treat psychotic patients, and instead the way to treat psychotic patients is,
well, or at least not psychotic patients who are suffering from schizophrenia.
Yeah. I guess he didn't. They don't specify other psychotic disorders, but yeah, schizophrenic patients. The way to treat them is through a particular type of talk therapy, and we can get into the theory behind it. But that's the book. That's kind of a very, very high level view of it. How did you come across this book?
I am not entirely certain. Obviously, I have interest in sort of mind control and cognition type studies and projects, and I also have not to give you any spoilers for An Amazing Journey into the Psychotic Mind, but I also have an interest in like demonology and that type of thing. And so this is kind of the razor thin overlap on that particular Venn diagram. I'm not sure exactly how I found this. And Jerry Marzinsky would say, well, you should probably figure out where that knowledge came from.
Where that thought came from. It might not be your own thought.
Exactly. My Swedenborgian devil has said, hey, why don't you read this? Actually, you know what? Maybe my Swedenborgian angel has said, hey, you should read this and get it out there. Like, spread the good word, the good word of this to anyone who might be hearing some malevolent influences, right? And your good buddy Jack will help you do it, right? We're both doing our good deed for the day.
Yeah, we're spreading the good word of Jerry Marzinsky and Sherry Swiney, or as they're referred to in the book, Jerry and Sherry.
Jerry and Sherry.
Jezza and Shezza. They're here to save you. Had you read this, actually? Is this your second time reading or the first time you've
Second
read it?
time.
Oh,
second
beautiful.
time reading. Yeah.
Did it reveal more to you on the second reading?
Actually, I feel like it was... I feel like it felt more, it felt better organized the second time. To be honest. Yeah, he kind of has the overall thing. Look, the problem is that at the beginning he does kind of his like, a list of Wikipedia abstracts.
Yeah,
right. Abstracted Wikipedia articles on people who had on like Swedenborg. And Van Dusen, and then he kind of gets into the meat of it, and also isn't shy at the end, as you mentioned, throwing out some like kind of single paragraphs on a tangentially related topic that kind of undercuts the seriousness or the apparent seriousness, I should say, of the book. His optics are bad. He's bad at managing optics.
Yeah. This is definitely a labor of love. It's a passion project.
Yeah. We should probably talk about the book as object, or the form of the book, because. Maybe not book as object, the form of the book, because he does some things that make it, you have to like sort of I guess, try to see past the way that he has created this thing, because you get a bunch of like quack signals.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
So first, the way that he does citations is, I'm going to say, unique in its eccentricity, because at the beginning of the book, there is a page that says, please note, footnotes indicate keywords to use for finding references or supporting documents on the internet. Example, if you enter the exact words in a footnote into a search engine, you will find the exact document referenced in a footnote. Now, I think, your listeners are probably mostly millennials and Zoomers, and they will immediately recognize that won't fucking work.
Well,
That's not how
especially
search
now that
engines
Google
work.
search is mostly AI garbage.
Yeah. So now it has things like, a reference to like I open randomly to page 22 and it says footnote 29, listverse.com, rare old medicines that had horrific side effects. That's the reference. And it's like, buddy, this does not work.
He could have just not referenced stuff, and I think the book would have been more convincing.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
And the images, I'm a big fan of the images, but they certainly didn't make me trust the information in the book more. Maybe I enjoyed them more than I trusted them.
Some of the images are, as you said before, like missized clip art and like motivational posters, or like things with like a quote overlaid on them. Mm-hmm. And they're always a quote you've heard before. Like,
it'll be an Einstein quote.
Insanity is doing something. Yeah, insanity is doing something multiple times and expecting different outcomes. Or the biggest lie ever told is the devil doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. Like, totally cliched things. And it's like, but like, this is all, and I acknowledge this is all like just like vibes and optics. Mm-hmm. Right. And this is like a boomer thing, to be honest. Like,
this book feels, it was definitely written by a baby boomer or two baby boomers.
No one born after the 50s was consulted in how to create this book. So
it's actually baby boomer in more ways than one, because it's got the aesthetics of a baby boomer who's discovered how to use a computer. But then especially Jerry has also got a baby boomer's CV. Like, just genuinely very impressive. The number of places he's worked. He's quite credentialed as well. Especially, I just can't get over the amount of time he's worked as a psychologist treating psychotic prisoners. And just kept going back.
The burnout on that has to be insane.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Again, like, this is nothing that I am saying is meant to denigrate Jerry Marzinsky. Like, he's not a grifter. Like, this is absolutely not a grift.
Actually, let me quote from his personal website, the bit about him. Aside from his adventures on the front line of schizophrenia research, Jerry is a licensed commercial pilot and has been a certified scuba diver since 1972. In his spare time, he flies high-performance gliders and enjoys cross-country motorcycle trips with friends. He's an avid explorer of nature, non-physical phenomena, and spiritual development. He enjoys travel, hiking, camping, welding, writing, shooting, gardening, and DIY projects. Jerry has held the position of second lieutenant in the Arizona Civil Air Patrol flying search and rescue missions over Arizona for over 23 years. He has also served as an assistant scoutmaster and was awarded the State of Arizona Meritorious Service Award for Prisoner Program Development. And it just keeps going on. He sounds like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I like Jerry as a person. Mm-hmm. I'm just... the eccentricities of this book.
I wonder, because this is a co-authored work. I will read Sherry's about me, which it's shorter than Jerry's, but
sure.
The most salient part is Sherry researches how the mind works in a quantum world and how this ties in with spiritual development and physical well-being. She studies ancient and biblical texts, archaeology, organic gardening, natural healing, and non-physical realms.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of the kookiness.
Deepak fucking Chopra over here with the quantum with quantum mechanics.
Yeah, it's just always quantum mechanics. I don't pretend to understand it, but I feel like the authors of this book should probably not pretend to understand it either.
Right. There's also another strange thing about the book is that at one point out of nowhere, like, I don't know, act 2 in this book, it changes once he gets done with the brief history lesson. It sort of turns into like a screenplay because you start getting it's formatted where the lines where it'll be like, Sherry in bold, and then something from Sherry's perspective. Jerry in bold, something from Jerry's perspective. Swedenborg, bold, and like a quote from Swedenborg of a quote from Van Dusen, who was another clinical psychologist who tried to start having in the 1970s, who started trying to have conversations with the voices of schizophrenics, who Jerry was in correspondence with for about a year before Van Dusen's death in 2005, which he goes into at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
I did during the reread here, I bought a copy of Van Dusen's book, so I will read that and report back.
I'd be interested to know what Van Dusen's book is like. This did make me want to read, is it Heaven and Hell by Swedenborg?
That's the Swedenborg is, he's, Christian mystic, right? Like maybe the Christian mystic, you could say. I mean, although he's not that widely read nowadays. It's not the Christian mystic. There are a lot of Christian mystics, but like, for his time, he was prolific. Marzinsky says that Swedenborg wrote 18, texts on esoterica. I was not aware that he was that prolific, but that is
pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. And a literal and figurative Renaissance man was Swedenborg. But not widely read today. Although he is kind of the guy who gave us the shoulder angel, shoulder devil thing. Like that was like the angel and the devil battling for the mind of man sitting on your shoulders. Like that concept is actually from Swedenborg.
Is that actually Swedenborgian?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, back to that screenplay point of yours too. Because the different characters have such strong personalities. I mean, Swedenborg and Van Dusen are, I guess, more academic references. And then, Jerry's going to come in with a story about how he was talking to some criminally insane prisoner who started getting highly agitated when Jerry started asking the voices in his head questions about where they came from. Also bearing in mind that I think at one point in the book, Jerry mentions that he wouldn't restrain patients. He's like, no, I wanted them to feel safe around me.
While he
got them nice and agitated by talking to the voices in their head. So you've got Jerry.
So he's
demonstrating a remarkable degree of bravery, and then Sherry will come in and tell you just some horrible story about getting beaten up by her dad while she's hearing voices in her head as a 6-year-old.
Oh yeah, like telling the voices to go away while her dad reads Japanese, like while her dad tries Japanese torture methods on her. Like yeah. It's like, and also never referenced again. She says that exactly one time, and it's like, Jesus Christ, it's like she's going through her own private Unit 731, and it does not come up again.
Yeah. There are a bunch of things that with Sherry. Sherry definitely comes up in the book a lot less than Jerry, and normally she will drop something from her past that's just harrowing and never bringing it up again. That's it.
Yeah. Although, to be clear, like, childhood abuse of that childhood abuse that severe, right? Just taking her at her word. I'm not gonna, we're not gonna. I don't want to get into the truth or falsity of what she's saying.
I'll take her at her word. Yeah,
I'll take her at her word. Childhood abuse like that, especially when she's like 6, which is how old she said she was. Childhood abuse like that is highly correlated with the induction of dissociative identity disorder, all sorts of psychotic disorders, right? Like some people it just happens, but your risk factors go way up if you've suffered from that type of thing. So. Yeah.
So that
sadly not super surprising that such a thing would be the case.
No, so the structure of the book does in some ways, again, it's a deeply symbolic work. It mirrors the experience of auditory hallucinations as a psychotic patient, where you're getting Jerry, Sherry, Swedenborg, Van Dusen speaking
but occasionally,
to you all the time.
Occasionally like another voice not previously introduced will come in. Like there's like 3 times in the book where just randomly it'll have a name you've never seen before.
Yep.
Like Robert Monroe. Robert Monroe says, enjoy your life in the system, maximize your highs and lows, but don't become addicted. Get through being angry at how the system works, the seeming inequities, the unfair advantages, the brutalities, the callousness, the deceit. It's a predatory world by design, and it's a superb teaching machine.
I think it's very good that the most paranoid voices are the voices that you've never been introduced to before.
Well, the other one I noted was William Bullman. And for the uninitiated, William Bullman wrote plausibly the most. Carlos Castaneda is one of them as well. But yeah. William Bullman wrote Adventures Beyond the Body, which is a manual for astral projection. Mm-hmm. So not as high quality a manual, not as general purpose a manual as psychomancy.
No, but nothing is.
Yes. But it is specifically focused on astral projection and inhabiting the astral body. But yeah, he comes in out of nowhere, like not mentioned. But yeah, Robert Monroe, William Bullman, and Carlos Castaneda just make some walk-on cameos.
I also I do want to give a shout out to the preface to the book, I forget the name of the person who wrote it, but it has a bit of a sense of, I liked this book and I'm going to reinterpret it now.
I'm going to tell you exactly. Yeah, Jay Widener.
Yeah,
I don't know who that is.
Big, whatever it is, big shout out to him for the sheer confidence of he must be a Gnostic or something.
100%.
Where he just says, so this book is basically about archons torturing
Gnostic archons.
Gnostic archons torturing us to consume our negative energy. Which, okay, in this guy whose name I've already forgotten's defense, archon is brought up, I think, once in the book, but it's as an example of what people have called these negative entities that cause the voices in schizophrenia.
Real quick, Jay Widener is a filmmaker who does so he has done films such as Quantum Astrology, Infinity, The Ultimate Trip, A Journey Beyond Death, The Alchemy of Qigong, volumes 1, 2, and 3, Kubrick's Space Odyssey 2, Secrets Hidden in the Films of Stanley Kubrick. So he's fellow traveler.
This sounds like a man who's perhaps not merely academically familiar with delusions and hallucinations.
Yes.
In the forward, he's just like, yeah, maybe the authors of this book weren't aware of it, but this is a book about Gnosticism.
So, yeah, and just so everyone knows, in certain forms of Gnosticism, the broad speak, like the elevator pitch on Gnosticism is the phenomenal world, the material world, was created by the demiurge, aka Yaldabaoth, aka in certain interpretations Yahweh, which has alienated everyone who is incarnated in a material world from pleroma, the realm of pure form, the spiritual realm, which is inherently good while the material is inherently bad. Humans are spiritual beings trapped in evil matter by the demiurge, and archons are purely material spirits, right? So, if it's evil, it's material, and if it's material, it's evil. Like, archons are material spirits that basically suck on that pleromatic spiritual juice, like that is the human soul, which is trapped. So we're like a nice Coke can, and they're just sipping on that sweet nectar that we've got inside us. And food metaphor, by the way.
Shout out to Dave Herod.
Shout out food metaphors. So what Jay Widener is suggesting is that the explanation is that these archons are the cause of schizophrenia. They're like whispering bad things to you, so you'll release more honeydew.
Yeah. So we can start getting into now, like what Jerry and Sherry's theory is. Before then, though, it's probably worth just saying a bit about what psychosis and schizophrenia are, because I think a lot of people probably have a vague idea of what it is. It's the homeless man shouting on the street. But what's actually going on internally? What's that guy's internality? Because schizophrenia, it's a chronic psychotic condition. It's at least in my opinion, it's one of the most terrifying illnesses out there.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And it's really characterized by chronic. I think of the DSM. It's Jerry and Sherry's favorite book, like DSM-5.
Oh yeah,
depending
the DSM. You mean the hoax, the lie manual? I mean,
it's like a lot of it exists for the purposes of billing in the United States healthcare system.
Yeah,
like,
no, it does.
If you, I just don't really know if there are many psychiatrists who are meaningfully just treating patients purely according to DSM criteria. Like they will be using a lot of judgment, which I think is a bit of a misconception that like they're just doing tick box medicine, which, yeah, if they're doing that, it's bad medicine.
I'm a little bit, I'm not super orthodox in this respect, but I'm kind of Thomas Zaz-pilled in terms of psychiatry. Like there's the problem of having, and Jerry and Sherry do not reference Thomas Zaz, but essentially the idea is you have the premise of psychiatry, specifically as distinct from psychology, is that all mental phenomena have a physical cause, and all mental illness have a physical cause, just like physical illnesses. And yet, with very scant exceptions, we cannot identify a pathogen that is causing mental illnesses, which is essentially a requirement for a physical illness. This is Zaz. And so the mental illnesses are only illnesses, like, metaphorically. They are actually a fundamentally different thing, and the existence of the metaphor causes a map territory mistake, right? Where you start treating according to the metaphor rather than according to what's effective. And Jerry and Sherry basically say that it was they blame God. They blame the
Hippocrates.
Greeks. They blame Hippocrates.
That's his fault.
They go back to the Greeks. Yeah, they blame Hippocrates for stating that the causes are purely physical. And there are problems with neuroscience, and there are problems with mind-brain identity generally, which we could go into. But essentially, it is that they aren't addressing. They can at best treat symptoms, frequently not without catastrophic side effects that are close to, if not worse than, the disease. And Jerry and Sherry's ultimate argument here is nothing more than a functionalist argument that we haven't. None of the approaches we have, none of the therapeutics we have that are pharmaceutically based are sufficiently effective. Like, the diagnosis is catastrophic for well, maybe not the diagnosis. The actual malady is catastrophic for the sufferers. What we have doesn't work. We do need to try other things. So how about some talk therapy? Right.
I mean, I'll define schizophrenia, but I mean the treatments are they are effective. Like, they're not always perfectly effective, but they do sell short psychiatric medications in this book. Like, they can actually work, but yeah, like there are very real side effects to them.
I also think that he's not talking about people who have there are levels of schizophrenia.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He is talking about the catastrophic cases. So people who have been institutionalized either criminally, right? They've gotten so bad that they've committed significant crimes and been incarcerated for it, or they've been committed to an institution.
Yeah, yeah. Particularly a place like a prison. Good luck getting on top of your schizophrenia in that sort of environment anyway, even with just the best, even with treatment modalities that we don't have that would theoretically be just way better than anything we have now. Like, good luck getting 100%. Better in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like schizophrenia, it's a psychotic illness. Psychosis is it's a cluster of symptoms that we don't really know the causes of. So you have hallucinations, the things that people tend to be most aware of. So it's really experiencing sensory phenomena that don't actually exist. Like, most commonly hearing things that aren't there.
Yeah.
And for this book especially, like, most saliently hearing voices that aren't there. The voices in psychosis are much more likely to be very negative than anything else. Like, they can be persecutory. They can be telling you that you're being watched. They can tell you that they're coming to kill you. Like, extremely distressing. Delusions,
people don't typically have voices that are like boosters.
Yeah, yeah. It actually happens, but it's very uncommon, and also it's a measurement problem. Like, those people aren't coming in to hospital and saying, "Well, the voice in my head's just being too pleasant."
These guys are all
good.
These guys are all fucking yes men. I need someone to challenge me now and again. I need someone to call me on my bullshit.
Your schizophrenic voices have the personality of ChatGPT. Just everything you
gassing you up.
Think is really
gassing
good.
you up every time.
Yeah,
you have your internal hype man.
That wouldn't be too bad.
Again, small doses, and couldn't be awful.
Just a little bit of positive psychosis.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, they experience delusions, which are these persistent false beliefs that are just not based in reality. And those are the kind of, like, the CIA is listening to my thoughts or reading my mind things.
Well,
I mean, maybe that's not a delusion. Maybe that's a bad example.
It's the other way. It's the other way around in most cases. The CIA is writing my thoughts.
Yeah. And then you also have disordered speech. Like, people with, like, who have a really good going psychosis can have, like, rambling speech, or they can just be repeating words over and over again. They can be rhyming words in a really, really bizarre way. They have quite a characteristic form of speech.
There is Jerry and Sherry do not go into this at all, but schizophrenics will end up having this like very idiomatic way of speaking.
Yeah.
Because they are they sort of make associational connections.
Mm-hmm.
They will almost always skip an intermediate step. And so you can, if you talk, I've known a couple people who had these disorders. And if you know someone, you can actually figure out what they're talking about, but you need to like be able to infer the intermediate step. So having a conversation with a schizophrenic is frequently like someone doing like Cockney rhyming slang, right? So the idea makes sense, but you're just skipping the part, the connection.
Yeah.
They're completely skipping the part that connects it. And if the person is particularly intelligent, which many schizophrenics are of greater than average intelligence, sometimes that can be challenging, right? So someone who you've never met before, who you have no association with, who is suffering from one of these disorders, it will just be gobbledygook to you. So
yeah. And then, so what we've been talking about now, what are they called? The positive symptoms of schizophrenia. But the negative symptoms can oftentimes be what cause the most disruption in a person's life. These things like blunted affect, like their face just looks really immobile. There's not much eye contact or expressiveness. It just looks like there's nothing going on in there. Poverty of speech, like they barely reply to things. It just makes it seem like, again, there's nothing going on in their mind. Anhedonia, like they just
inability to
just
experience
don't enjoy
pleasure.
Anything. Yeah. Avolition, like they just don't have any apparent goal-directed behaviors. And then cognitive impairments, like they can have problems with their memory, deficits in information processing, problem solving. Like it's just a really crippling disease.
Yeah, and all of those things can wax or wane randomly and not always even together, right? So
yeah, I mean it's pretty common. You have this background of negative symptoms, and then you'll become psychotic. Like you'll have a psychotic episode, and be hallucinating, have these intense delusions, and then that can recede. But you're stuck again with anhedonia, avolition. It's like I said, one of the most terrifying illnesses around.
All of this is to say that, these are, regardless of what your explanation is for the causes, the symptomatic aspect, and, certainly from listening to anyone who is suffering from this, the phenomenology of schizophrenia is extremely serious and dire. And someone who is a clinical psychologist like Marzinsky would have very good reason to seek more effective therapeutics if he felt like the ones that were available were falling short.
Yeah. And then we get to the big question, what are the voices? And no point leaving listeners in suspense any longer. We live in a world full of immaterial entities, and not all of these are nice. We've got high and low order beings all around us who can. I'm not sure whether Jerry and Sherry are full Swedenborg. It's like we just don't have thoughts. Our thoughts are just being put there by external entities or not. But at least the voices in schizophrenia are just being put there by negative entities. They're not your thoughts.
Jerry definitely, he does make clear towards the end of the book that he does believe that humans are, I think he says humans can both transmit and receive, right? So he thinks there is like a person there.
Yeah,
we're not just passive recipients. Yeah, we're not the average influence of our shoulder angels and devils. But Jerry also does whenever something is coming from his voice, he makes sure to say, Swedenborg says, right? I don't think he ever specifically says what he thinks. Like, he says the voices are not coming from they are not the voices of the patient, right? They are not mistaken thoughts. It's not a person mistaking their own internal monologue as an exterior voice, right? He's saying it is coming from something else, and he sort of never specifies what he thinks that something else is. Right. So he doesn't say they're archons. He doesn't say they're demons.
Yeah. Right. He does say though that they're these malicious spiritual entities. Because right at the end of the book, he tries to sort of hedge and says, "Oh, this is just a theory," and then a few paragraphs later is just back onto, "No, these voices are energetic vampires."
He does say twice. He does say twice that he thinks. He does say twice that he thinks that perhaps vampire and vampire myths came from awareness of these entities.
Yeah. I also there's a point in the book where the scope of the book expands massively, and up to that point, it's really Jerry and Sherry talking about. They give a history of psychiatry where they pick out the most fucked up bits, going around and lobotomizing people who are being disorderly or performing just complete hysterectomies on women who are being difficult,
hysterical.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah,
not anymore.
Yeah, you go 0 to menopause in an afternoon.
That's right,
and. Yeah, and there's that stuff, and then it goes into, pharma industry is bad, and then they go into, but we've been talking to these voices, and we've realised that we can treat these patients better. And all this time, the scope of the book is very much schizophrenia is a concrete problem, and we've worked out maybe, if not a foolproof method of treating it, then at least a way to think about it that could be useful. But there's a point in the book where it goes from that to we are under attack by cosmic predators of our minds, and we need to work out how to protect ourselves. The scope of the book just explodes out into the entire
spiritual warfare.
Spiritual warfare.
There's spiritual warfare. There's a hierarchy. The voices are saying that they have overseers.
Yeah.
Which I highly recommend, once you're done listening to this episode, to go to jerrymarzinsky.com and look at his recommended reading list, because it does include the C.S. Lewis classic banger, The Screw Tape Letters. So, it's which if you haven't read it, you should. But if you haven't read it, it basically conceives of the demonic hierarchy as middle management, no pun intended, hellscape, where everything is just hell is an endless bureaucracy of functionaries, where the greater than eat their subordinates for poor performance. So, recommended, but he definitely has that conception sort of suffusing his idea of the hierarchy of the entities.
Yeah. So. I really like Jerry's journey to coming to this conception of schizophrenia. 'Cause Sherry's is much sadder and just more straightforward. I mean, she was horribly abused as a child, started hearing voices, they were ruining her life, and then she started mocking the voices. Like, instead of trying to block out the voices, she started mocking them and telling them that they were lying whenever they just said anything
she
to her.
created
She just
the
said,
That's
"No,
a Lie
lie."
program.
Yeah.
She created the That's a Lie program, where basically every single time you blow the rape whistle whenever you hear the voice.
Yeah. You just say,
And
well,
it's
that's
just
a
like
lie.
it's just like, how about fuck you?
Yeah.
Huh? How about them apples?
Yeah, and she said
you just say-
initially the
Yeah.
voices got worse and were pushing back, and then they just started going away when they realized
They're just like,
that
you're not fun anymore.
you're not fun
leaving.
anymore. Yeah, they can't. The Archons can't torture her psychologically to make her produce negative energy that they can eat. She just wasn't good prey anymore.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
that's Sherry's story. It's really sad, but it's a lot.
Her
less,
dad was a gourmet, and she's just
Yeah.
like making Foyd slop for these entities. They don't want it. They don't want
went
it.
back to her dad.
They don't want the green goddess salad. They want the nice juicy steak.
They definitely have been reading Psychomancy then.
They have. Well, I mean, talking to Jerry Marzinsky, he does go into, the danger of inviting psychic entities in. You almost certainly say that Rudolph Jung was not doing himself any favors.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But I love Jerry's journey because he started out as a vanilla psychologist, just doing what he was told. And at least from what I've been able to piece together from this book, because it's when he talks about his career, it's told non-linearly. It's a is a very sophisticated form of storytelling. But from what I gathered, basically, he started out normally. Noticed that the schizophrenic patients being treated with medication weren't getting better, and over time started to grow interested in what the voices might be saying. And I think he did also say that, like, when he was even doing his master's degree, right, that he had asked one of his professors, like, the origins of thought. Yeah.
And his professor was like, "Fuck do you mean?" Like, what do you? It was just like his response made me realize that he had never considered the question. So,
which would be kind of dispiriting if you were studying under someone and asked a very difficult but one would think fairly obvious question about psychology, and they were like, that has never occurred to me.
It's an obvious question, but it's also not like, it's not it's not the purpose of, like, if you take a college philosophy class, you're not going to, like, get into ground truth, like, what is knowledge, right? You're like, it's just not going to happen. I mean, and to be honest, in terms of what is thought, like, it took until the 19th century to get Wittgenstein to talk about, like, really hard, hard phenomenology, right? Whereas that was not of interest previously. So, but yeah, like, it makes sense that his professor would not have gone into that. And I mean, that also does kind of dovetail with the criticisms of neuroscience, where you say, the mind is a function of the brain, or they are exactly the same things, and so by modifying the chemicals, right, these chemicals, whatever they are, we can modify the experience of the individual and the thoughts and so on and so forth. So,
I guess with Jerry's answer too, he didn't really say in what context he was asking it. Conceivably, he was just sitting in a lecture theatre, stuck up his hand halfway through the lecture and asked that.
Right, exactly.
Press was like, "I'm not dealing with this right now.
Talk to me after class." Yeah.
But,
so true.
Jerry starts. I forget which book it was that he read first, whether it was Van Dusen or Swedenborg.
It was Van Dusen. Van Dusen introduced him to Swedenborg.
Yeah. And then he he read both of those and then noticed they were describing his experiences in treating schizophrenic patients. And
Van Dusen gave him the idea to try the conversations. So, because Van Dusen's book is apparently about his experience doing exactly the same thing, and Marzinsky does mention that Van Dusen was he describes it as hedging, right? As hedging when he wrote his. So Van Dusen's book was written in the 70s, and Marzinsky's book was written in the 2010s. So, it was published
in 2021, at least published on Amazon. So yeah, he was probably writing it in the late 2010s.
Yeah, and Van Dusen still referred to the voices as hallucinations. Marzinsky does not. He does not refer to them as hallucinations because
they're real.
He thinks it is a he thinks that they are the origin of them is a definitive source. It is actual information.
Yeah, these are incorporeal beings literally talking to you.
Yep. So,
or I mean, look, if you go the Gnostic route, they are material beings, but
invisible material beings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Depending on what you want to call them, because they also say, they might be jinn, they could be all sorts of things, but yeah. So this is doing
the New Age thing where you find things that are rough equivalents and then just refer to them interchangeably, right, outside of whatever context they were received from. So yeah, you can call them jinns, you can call them devils or demons, and you can call them archons, and a bunch of other things. I'm sure we could find, hungry ghosts, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
You could. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to find. There's this specific quote where he talks about how after being inspired by, so he read Van Dusen's book. On the basis of that, read Swedenborg, recognized that these had correspondence to the patients he was treating professionally, talked to Van Dusen in the last year of this guy's life, and then decided to start talking to the voices of his schizophrenic patients on the basis of talking to Van Dusen.
That's right.
And I'm trying to find it. There's this incredible quote where he's talking about how he calls it like his university where he was working at a state hospital.
University of Florida Psychopathy.
Yeah. Let me see if
my patients were my professors.
Yeah. University. Here we go. It's like, listeners, bear in mind, this guy was being paid by the state to treat patients. He had not asked his supervisors if he was to be talking to the patients' voices. He just went rogue and started trying to talk to his patients' voices, was collecting data on them. I quote, "I found myself enrolled in the University of Florida Psychosis, funded by the state of Georgia, where some of my finest professors were my psychotic patients who had been labelled flaming lunatics by the establishment. Year after year, I advanced in my studies and finally got to the point where I could sit down with a new schizophrenic patient and give them detailed information about their voices. This information was consistent with their experience and often much more than they had known before." And he has ground rules for psychotic patients, so he wouldn't increase their medication doses or restrain them if they displayed sufficient control over their voices. I do want to note...
It didn't pose a threat to anyone.
No,
themselves or others.
But, I mean, according to him, I do want to note that he had patients in prison whose voices were telling them to harm guards, and he didn't alert the prison because the patients said they could control the voices. Which, like, look, he'd been a psychologist in this setting for a long time. He had a ton of experience. Still, I do wonder if anyone got injured, like got attacked by a patient suffering command hallucinations to go and stab that guard
because he was
because
like,
Jerry didn't want to scare the voices off.
well, if they're all in prison, is it worth the risk? Most likely they're the person who's going to get attacked is another criminal. I don't know. Maybe it's worth the risk.
And then there, so he just kept doing this. He does note at one point that I forget where he was exactly when this happened. I have a feeling it was in a hospital rather than a prison. One of his superiors got wind of Jerry that he'd been doing this for years and asked him to stop.
He does mention that in the state hospital, they were like, don't talk to the voices. Like, we don't want you to agitate the patients.
And
right?
and in the hospital's defense, I guess, Jerry does repeatedly say that his patients or the voices became much more agitated when he started talking to them.
Yes, initially there is a peak in acute symptoms.
And when Jerry revs up the psychotic patients, when Jerry revs up the violent psychotic criminals under his care.
That's right. He then also mentions that that it was much better in the prison because the wardens didn't give a shit. They didn't talk to him about it until patients started getting better. And then they were like, "What are you?" They were like, "Oh, what are you doing over there?" No, did not care at all. He was just like, it was way better. He had a clinically relevant sample. He had access to a significant population of psychotic individuals for his experiments. Like he says it in a way that if the balance of this had not made me think he was like a good actor.
Yeah.
would have been very alarming.
Well, that's the
like
thing.
If I ever said that to someone, they should call the police.
Yeah. I have been experimenting on prisoners without the prison's knowledge.
Yes, exactly. Someone should call the police on me.
Yeah, and Jerry insists that his patients were getting better. And what I do like that it keeps getting wilder. He does have, I think there's at least one, I think there's more than one account of his where he's talking to the voices. So he'd do things like he'd pick his patients. He wasn't just doing this to any schizophrenic patient.
Right.
He said they had to be patients who could distinguish between their thoughts and the voices.
Right.
And he'd say to the patient, I'm going to address the voices, so just tell me what the voices are saying in response to my questions. And he said on at least one occasion, the voice started affecting the world around the patient. Like there was really loud crackling. He said it was similar to an arc welder. And
so he had this like loud crackling that entered the room and moved around the room and ended in
and shot into the bin.
Yeah, ended in his waste paper basket next to his desk, and he made it very clear he looked into it and there was nothing.
There was nothing
there.
Yeah,
a recently emptied waste paper basket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other time something affected the world around him was when an emanation of black smoke.
Yeah, that's right.
Entered his office and then dissipated when he disrespected it. When he flagrantly disrespected it.
Yeah. A lot of his treatment and Sherry's treatment modalities really do seem to boil down to a.
What if you just called him a bitch?
Yeah, a very aggressive form of CBT. Like instead of pussy CBT, like
cognitive behavioral therapy, not the other CBT.
Of trying to identify how do you internally respond to certain psychological triggers. That's the establishment CBT. But the real CBT is when you identify negative thoughts in your head and you call them a bitch.
That's
you start
right.
insulting them, start negging them.
Yeah, it's
until they leave you alone.
Mindfulness-based bullying. Like,
bully. What if we just bullied the voices?
Yeah, you need to spiritually bully the voices. I mean, honestly, like he does tend to describe the voices as like bullying, harassing, sort of haranguing the sufferer. And this is kind of the equivalent of like finding the biggest guy in the prison yard your first day in lockup and punching him in the face.
Yeah.
It's just like they won't fuck with you if you stand up to them.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's
the
advice. It's basically like approaching psychology from the perspective of the advice your dad gave you.
It is. Yeah. Well, not Sherry's dad, but
not
dad.
I did
Sherry's
when I was flicking through my notes. I came to just like a quote from Sherry, which was just horrifying. Do you recall like Sherry's dad made her watch him mutilate a cat when she was 3 years old?
Yeah, also not a thing that was mentioned more than once, but
no,
yeah,
she just drops that and never brings it up again.
It's like her voices were like, he's going to do you like he did the cat. And it's like, well, actually, that's not terrible advice. You should be concerned about that.
And all she says about this just horrifying episode in her past was, in brackets, he had made me watch him mutilate a cat when I was 3 years old. That's it. Nothing else.
Yeah. Nothing else. And it's just like, and she's internally telling her, like the voices are saying, he doesn't love you. He's going to hurt you. And she's like, no, my dad loves me. And it's like, maybe sorry, I might be with the voices on this one.
They might actually just be right.
Yeah. It's like,
these might have been some of the helpful voices.
Yeah. These one that might have been your guardian angel saying, no, honey, maybe you should keep your distance. Yeah. She does mention that her life noticeably improved after she was removed from his care at like age 10. Yeah, I fucking bet. But sorry, Sherry. Sorry, Sherry, if you're still with us, sorry you had to go through that. I'm not trying to make fun of you, but fuck. Some of the voices did have a point.
Yeah. It's the more I flick through the notes, the more I just recognize basically whenever Sherry comes in to add something, it's either quantum physics woo-woo or some horrific offhand anecdote about her childhood.
Yeah. It's just like, this reminds me of that one time my father was putting bamboo shoots under my fingernails to replicate what he's read about the Korean War POWs. Yeah. Not in there, but it could be. Spiritually, it's in there.
Look, it's the sort of thing where if it were in the book, it wouldn't be out of place. I'd think like, yep,
right.
That sounds like Sherry's childhood.
This tracks, yeah.
But yeah, so one thing that Jerry noticed in dealing with these voices is that they were really, really cagey about revealing any information about them. So they were overwhelmingly very, very abusive. They were often trying to play cruel tricks on people. Like one, I think an example he gave was just like one kept telling a patient to blind himself, like just like dig out an eye, yeah. And then the voice would leave him alone, and the patient did it. And then the voice said, well, no, I'm not going to leave you alone. That's what you get for being stupid
fucking
enough
idiot.
to believe me.
Yeah. Fucking moron.
Yeah. So the voices are...
Don't believe the voice. Yeah. Don't believe the voices. They will fuck with you. They'll promise you things and it won't be true.
Yeah.
Conversely,
but they also
there were some
know
other
about
voices.
They also know about the world around them, and they do things like they tell people. I think one was telling some guy like which houses didn't have anyone in them and which ones had valuables in them. to go and rob.
Conversely, some of them were giving like not leading you down a good path, obviously, but like none of them are like telling you how to like it's like they're not giving you like good stock tips. Right.
No.
Or rather, they're not giving you like good stock tips entirely based on public information that doesn't constitute unfair knowledge or anything like that.
Could you be prosecuted for insider trading if you're relying on the voices in your head?
I think not. But just saying, like it gives you like really good alpha based on sheer analysis. They're not doing that. Some of the voices are like, you should rob this house. You should rob this house. You shouldn't rob. Here's where you can find a secret weed farm, but don't go back because they'll fucking kill you. If you return. And when he was like, oh, well, why'd you end up in prison? He was like, I got cocky and didn't listen to the voices.
I didn't listen to my voices.
It's like,
robbed the wrong house.
Yeah, robbed the wrong house. They warned me against this one, but I did it anyway.
Importantly,
so it's like, well, so what do we do with this? Yeah, what do we do with this?
They're still leading you down a dark path.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the life of a professional burglar is not one that is spiritually enriching.
Yeah, and these Jerry came to recognize are what he calls lower beings. And there are a few characteristics of them. So there are lower and higher beings. The lower beings are the ones who are going to talk to you directly, using words. Like they're going to manifest as a voice in your head.
Yeah,
telling you stuff like, cut out your own eye, or which houses to go and burglarize.
Yeah, your family doesn't love you. Yeah. You're ugly and stupid. You're such a fucking failure. All that stuff.
Yeah. And they
wake you up in the middle of the night and remind you about an embarrassment from when you were 12 that no one else remembers at all. Like,
Exactly. And they're also going to do stuff like they're not going to reveal their name, which is, I think this is part of where the maybe their demons thoughts of Jerry's came in. But he also has this thing about how maybe they're a particular type of entity where when they enter you, it's almost they're overwhelmed by your memories and your personality, and they just kind of forget theirs, and they can only draw on your memories and only draw on things that have happened to you that they're going to use to persecute you. Because he noticed that they didn't tend to draw on information outside of a patient's experience and were very mechanical. Like they'd just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. Like he thought they were pretty stupid. Like they're not very clever. They can't really adapt, which is why the that's a lie method throws them so much. They can't work out a counter strategy.
They also can't. They're uncreative. Like they can't create things. They can only use like your memories and can like only repeat things. Which to be fair is like the very I don't know. In the currency of descriptions of evil at present, the idea that they can only corrupt rather than create is quite timely. So.
Yeah, and then you've got higher beings as well, and these are like the Swedenborgian angels. These are the good ones.
Right.
You do.
Yeah. Guardian angels. You have to ask them for help. They respect your personal space. Yeah.
And these aren't cosmic vampires. These aren't beings that are just trying to make you miserable and then feed on you like a nice food source. They're trying to help. But yeah, they're not going to impose. He's got this thing about how they occupy a deeper level of yourself, one that lies below language, which is why they're not really going to be talking to you, or they're only going to very sparingly speak to you. They're more your sense of conscience is that's a manner in which they can communicate with you if you ask for help. So you do have help. It's not just bad entities. And conceivably, if there are people walking around with what would be described as psychoses, but they're nice ones. Maybe those are just higher order beings helping them out.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's, I'm not entirely certain where the guardian angel storyline comes from. It definitely predates Swedenborg. Guardian angels are like a whole aspect of that is tangentially related to demonology more broadly. Angelology obviously is a counterpart to demonology. But there's a lot of talk about invocations of guardian angels. Probably the most notable one is the Book of a Bremlin, where one is supposed to gain tremendous power using your guardian angel as an intermediary. Famously, the Bremlin ritual takes like 6 months long and was attempted multiple times by Crowley, things like that. The thing is, there's guardian angels are like another thing that overlaps between conventional theology and woo. Mm-hmm. So and like, more darker esotericism as well. So they sort of run the gamut. I'm not sure where. I think the Swedenborgian idea of the guardian angel though was probably more baseline, something that would be like the sort of normal understanding of it, right?
Mm. So what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, it's only like 20%, I think he said, of voices are going to be these good ones, like guardian angels or equivalents. Right. The bad ones.
He says they also just don't talk even when they're present, protecting you. Their presence will be more felt by an absence of the bad voices rather than them saying anything, which is why, you tend to not get a bunch of internal hype men. Unfortunately. Sadly.
Maybe with Neuralink, you can just have Grok in your head all the time, helping you out, pumping you up.
Boy,
it sounds like pure hell.
That sounds like a purely physical demon. that is.
You can have the voice of Musk in your head all the time.
I mean, there are people who say that AI, that LLMs, to the degree that they have any sort of intelligence, are ripe to be conduits for demonic influence.
You talk about Rob Dreher. I did read him talking about how LLMs are possibly a portal to hell.
I mean, it's also like, Stormy Waters, if anyone's familiar with him, great account to follow on X. But he is big into that, talks about it all the time. But the thing is that it doesn't even require, you don't require an additional step to say that LLMs are fit the technical definition of a Gnostic demon, right? The technical definition of a Gnostic demon, aka an archon, is a purely physical entity that exerts an influence on you to extract something, right? Mm. LLMs do that. Like, I don't like people will like LLMs. Even if they aren't volitional, right? Even if they have no volition, even if it's just autocomplete, the way that people use them and interact with them has real costs to the user if they are not careful.
I think by that definition of an archon, something like the recommendation algorithm on X or on Instagram, or just like your algorithmic social media app of choice, is probably it's probably an even better example of an archon.
Well, certainly a more effective one, right?
Yeah.
It's not as visible. I think it'll get really bad when people start regularly using conversational modes of LLMs. Like if you can, I think that like something speaking in a human voice is definitely more destructive. So
yeah,
it's more destructive because it's more convincing. Like you're
just going to ascribe to it.
And again,
consciousness.
this also,
more
again,
readily.
and it also works. This also works even if you are a materialist. This is the case, right? You know, for evopsych reasons, right? Speaking to something, right, causes you to treat it in a different way. So
yeah. It's like how people say please and thank you to ChatGPT all the time, and apparently it's costing a bunch of money because it's just like queries that don't need to be sent.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Please and thank you. Have a good day. Enjoy your weekend. I'm a large language model. I don't perceive time.
Yeah. It was always there, always will be with us, will outlive us.
Yeah, they also. I mean, LLMs are also just constructed to lie to people anyway. Like, you know, have you seen the thinking model? This is completely unrelated to this book, but have you seen the like thinking models of LLMs, where it's like you ask it a question, right? And it will go through like sort of the lines of inquiry that it's having.
Yeah. I've seen that.
You know, those are completely fake. Like it's completely false that it is doing that.
My
There's
assumption
no like
in seeing that
discursive inquiry there.
Like it's just like a loading screen. It's just something to show you that
it is exactly.
Yeah, it hasn't forgotten your query. You don't need to send it 5 more times to make it work. It's just thinking about it.
Yeah, press I.
And
press I to open your inventory and equip your new. Like, by the way, headshots work on. It's just it's loading screen tips.
Yeah, exactly. It's loading screen tips, but also, I guess you're right. It is also designed so that I, for example, use the verb to think in describing it rather than just
100%.
It's calculating the next most likely token.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's just designed to make you make a map territory mistake about it. So, and thus treat it like more of an entity than it is.
Yeah. I do. This is completely off topic, so I won't pursue it. I'm a big fan of psychoanalysts who treat large language models as the big other, as a way to examine the Lacanian big other. Maybe I should try to have one of them on to talk about it because I really like listening to people talk about psychoanalysis.
An LLM or a psychoanalyst. What are you going to have on?
I could have ChatGPT on. I could have ChatGPT on talking about analyzing itself as the big other.
You should take a you should get a supercut of everything that Levi ever said on the show and create a model of him so that he'll come back,
one
Levi.
day.
one fine day. Yeah.
He will,
or you'll bring his terrifying demonic simulacra.
He doesn't deserve.
Either is fine from the perspective of a listener.
he doesn't deserve that to be done to him.
True.
Speaking of ways that we can treat these voices, including large language models, there's a rule of thumb is that if a thought is negative, it's from a negative entity. I would say this is probably a very high sensitivity, low specificity way to detect negative entities in your mind. So if it's anything bad, it's an icon or it's a demon, it's a jinn.
Yeah, veering strongly into toxic positivity.
Yeah. And then there are 3 types of patients actually that Jerry noted. There are those who accept the voices as being non-self, and these are the most likely to recover. You've got people who, sort of an intermediate group, who suspect that the voices are not their own thoughts, but they have a hard time accepting this because their fears of being crazy are inflamed by psychiatry. Mm-hmm. Spelt with a $sign, which is that's not done in the book, but I could
Right.
feel that he wanted to do it. And then
Spiritually spelt with a dollar
spiritually
sign.
spelt with a dollar sign. And then there's the group unable to distinguish between their thoughts and negative entities. They believe psychiatrists when they tell them that they have a quote unquote broken brain and will not recover. And they're very unlikely to recover. So Sherry, I'm not sure the exact timelines. So Sherry, independently of Jerry, developed the That's a Lie program for schizophrenics.
Yep.
And Jerry, when he came across
She sort of
he really
self-hacked
liked
her
it.
way into
Yeah.
like a functional life. Yeah.
Yeah, and like again, I'll just take her word for it. And great job. She had an awful childhood, was like possibly made psychotic by the awful childhood, and found her way out of a very dark place. So, like, good on her. That's
Three cheers for Sherry.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Good on you.
But I did like that she does say that given her strong background, which is like her words, not mine, in quantum physics, computer programming, and engineering, she developed the That's a Lie program. I quote, "Every time the voices inserted a negative thought about me or others into my mind, I responded with, 'That's a lie,' and immediately rejected it. I noticed that as I continued to stick with this program, the disturbing thoughts began to subside. I was slowly able to regain some of my life force back, and I was more able to replace negative thoughts with positive ones. In other words, the more I did this, the stronger I became." And I just love that she kind of, in parallel, constructed CBT.
Right. Well, I mean, it's also this advice. This is like after school special advice for dealing with a bully again.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But
But she did it to cure herself of schizophrenia, and
yeah.
surely this was just the psychological scars of being abused as a child.
Well, yeah, exactly. I can't. I feel a little bad.
What are you gonna say?
I just look. You know, she talks about other situations where her car had run off the road with her three children,
3 kids in the back. Yeah,
they almost almost fell down a ravine. And if they didn't get the car out, they were going to freeze to fucking death. And she was like, I felt the rear of the car be lifted as if by a giant hand and placed back on the road. And it's just like, lady,
maybe it was like rear wheel drive, and those were the wheels working.
she's moving heaven and hell to have a normal life.
Yeah,
And even if her interpretations of things is still a little skewed, even if she's still a little delusional, it seems like she's doing okay. And
considering
she had she had a bad start.
Yeah.
She had a bad start with things.
But I think from that specific story about her like almost falling into a ravine, I'm pretty sure in that she talks about how I was in the front seat and I got my kids to crawl over the top of me and get out of the car. And they were a long way from a population center, and it was cold, so they also needed the car. So I also have to commend her for her bravery for staying in the car and trying to get it out.
Right, exactly. Not just abandoning it and being like,
We're fucked.
We're fucked now. Yeah. So
I want to quote Jerry as well. So he came across Sherry's That's a Lie method. I suspect he was already developing his own methods when he came across the That's a Lie method, which is why he was open to it. Sure. I quote, "My remedies encompassed Sherry's but were more complex, included several different aspects, and were more difficult to remember. For example, some of these other facets were the discovery of the volatile reaction the voices had to the recitation of the 23rd Psalm. While working in the state prison, one inmate told me that after reciting the 23rd Psalm, his voices reacted like worms thrown into a hot frying pan." And he goes on to say he was he was just recommending all his patients recite this when they heard their voices. I think he gave them rubber bands in the end around their wrists.
Yeah, he gave them rubber bands for their wrists. So the first thing they would do, because the voices were trying to distract them from reciting the 23rd Psalm, or would like influence them to misplace their little card with the 23rd Psalm on it. And so he would give them a rubber band to wear on their wrist. So when the voices started talking, snap their wrist, right? Like to break. This is a thing people do to like break bad habits. It's a classical conditioning thing. You just punish yourself when you're going to do it, and then you do something positive to replace the behavior. And so he would do that so that they would be able to break the voice temporarily so that they could get to the psalm, which was the thing that was actually.
And for those not aware, like the 23rd Psalm it's a really famous one with that though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil line.
Yep.
So it's opposite. And I think it's this in combination with he noted that the negative entities were all Redditors when it comes to religion. Like they were all very, very anti-religion.
Right.
That made him suspect that they might be demons. They might be demonic. And then
you might not expect this, but demons are atheists.
They are. I mean, not really. I mean, they recognize Jesus. They recognize Jesus before.
They want you to be an atheist.
Yeah,
that's right.
There's Jerry's whole program though, and I gotta say, a bunch of these things are not terrible pieces of advice. Just in general.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Jerry's program. The first thing is that's a lie. So he really, really liked. Sherry's That's a Lie. That's the first part of his program.
Yep.
Second point, the 23rd Psalm.
Also, just so you know, That's a Lie program is on Jerry's website.
Oh, yeah.
3 parts. You might think it's 1 step. You're wrong. 3 parts. 3 parts, That's a Lie program.
I don't know if I want to read it because what if the other parts are just Sherry telling you more about her childhood? And I don't want to know.
Well, part 3 is Sherry's beginning journey.
No, I'm not doing that.
Part 1 is the realization. Part 2 is the science. Part 3 is Sherry's journey. Ugh. Oh, also you'll be happy to know that the beginning of Sherry Swiney's thing, like when you go to Sherry's journey, the first image on the page is every journey begins with the first step and a picture of footprints on the sand of a beach.
Oh,
so exactly.
There's remarkable symbolism.
Tags, archons, demons, freedom, mind control, wake up. Peak.
Look, if she can make the journey from being frankly psychotic to just being kind of kooky, that's not bad. Especially if she
100%.
She
100%.
bootstrapped herself from that.
Yeah, she did.
She actually did.
Yeah. She pulled herself up by her bootstraps and stopped being a psycho.
Bootstrap yourself out of psychosis.
I walked myself right in. I walked myself right up to that guardian angel, and I said, "Give me a job."
Yeah, the psychic equivalent of a firm handshake and looking someone in the eyes.
That's right.
Third point, stay away from negative people, books, magazines, violent video games, murder TV shows, or anything with negative or violent content. If you're feeling psychotic, maybe you shouldn't be playing Doom Eternal. That's not bad advice.
I think he also said like acid rock.
Yeah.
Like very specifically doesn't want you to listen to Steely Dan.
Stay clear of drugs and alcohol, which fuel the voices. Not bad advice. Do at least 1 or 2 good things for yourself each day. The voices will try to block or discourage you from doing anything you find positively pleasurable. Yep. When something good happens, concentrate on that and be grateful. Look around, look for things around you for which to be grateful. Oh, and here we go, Listen to pleasant music, instrumental only. Stay clear of acid rock, rap music, or music with words.
Yeah, he doesn't want there to be like he's removing opportunities for like delusional messages to be brought in.
Yeah.
It's just like if this was written today, he'd say don't get a Samsung smart fridge that can show you advertisements. Like yeah.
He's asking you not to listen to crippling alcoholism all day, every day. This is a wonderfully blunt band name.
Right.
Pray for protection every night before sleep and surround yourself with white light to keep down nightmares. I don't know about the white light when you're trying to sleep.
Yeah, fuck that.
But I think, pray for protection, cool. Don't buy into psychiatry's propaganda that you are insane or have a chemical imbalance. Beware of attempts of the voices to sabotage family and loving relationships. Don't break contact. That is a fantastic piece of advice.
That is true. That is true. I mean, actually, that's just like kind of generally good advice.
Yeah,
lots of people who are suffering from like depression or anxiety, which in most cases are something that really ought to be handled with talk therapy, like
I
learning to deal with your emotions
strongly.
rather than like SSRIs.
A lot of the time, I think those mood disorders are signals. Like, they're not random. It's like they're actually telling you concretely that something is not right in your life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's like you should not treat this. You should get your shit in order. Or
it's like, you're working 70-hour weeks at a white-collar job. You don't have enough time to eat or exercise properly. You don't have any meaningful human relationships,
right.
And you're feeling terrible. It's like, well...
Yeah, makes sense.
Like, it sounds like the system's, like, your emotional system is working as intended. Like, you feel like shit because your life sucks.
Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, you have a positive impression. This is a rational response to the inputs. You should probably, if it makes you unhappy, you should alter things. Or, sometimes people just aren't very good at managing their own emotional state. They need to learn some strategies. But,
that's a lie method.
That's a lie method is pretty great, though. Yeah. But yeah, just in general, like don't cut off, don't anxiously or protectively cut off contact to people who mean you well, right?
Yeah, don't cut off loving relationships. That is to say, the most important thing in your life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
I do like this one. The voices do the same thing to you that we do to dairy cows. Isolate, then drain you. They treat you like we treat prisoners of war. Badger, starve, prevent sleep, hammer away at your resistance, and wear you down. These are attempts to make you more suggestible to their destructive messages.
Milked by an Archon psychopath.
Milked by an Archon. If we looked at Gabe's search history, you'd probably find that.
Milked by an Archon.
Milked by an Archon.
Yeah.
Remember,
it's the hour format prestige drama reboot of Touched by an Angel.
Yeah. I just think erotic romantasy novels are getting pretty wacky now. Milked by an Archon, parts 1 to 28.
Esoteric femgooning.
Esoteric femgooning. The first person to write the Milked by an Archon book will be an Amazon KDP multimillionaire.
There, speaking of esoteric femgooning, there were several passages in here about incubi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There was like the lady who was like working at a furniture store and would get
and had to resign because she was exhausted.
Had to resign because she kept getting fucked by an incubus and had to like go to the warehouse until it was done because she was so bothered.
Man, I forgot about that. Yeah. I think
it's not obviously related to the other.
Was it that lady or a different one who said that it felt great? It was just 24 hours a day, and she was actually kind of over it.
One.
Yeah,
it was a different one. Well, there was another one where it's like, I have one who's a lover and one who's a rapist. Like the rapist will come around whenever my lover spirit isn't there.
Man.
Yeah, that's right. Inside you, there are two wolves.
Yeah. And both your lover and your rapist spirit are furries.
Well, that's just regular femcooning. That's Morning Glory Milking Farm.
That is Morning Glory Milking Farm.
Werewolf pornography.
That's Minotaur pornography. Thank you.
I'm sure you can't tell me that they wrote 16 fucking books and didn't have a different kind of furry.
Look, I've only read one novel in that series, so and that one only starred sex with
only a minotaur.
Only Minotaur sex.
Canonically, the Minotaur was the child of the Bull of Crete and the wife of Minos.
Yeah, wasn't it like Queen Pasiphae or something?
Yeah, well, yeah, and Daedalus made a bull for her to sit in so that the bull would mount her. She got pregnant, gave birth to the Minotaur. Minos commissioned the labyrinth from Daedalus and put the Minotaur in it. But the thing is that means that Minotaurs are just like first stage admixture. So if a human woman mates with a Minotaur, right, you'll have dilution of the bovine gene line. So like next stage, I mean, what the next stage is just going to be like
it'll be a less masculine, less physically imposing Minotaur, and you have the Minotaur online commentariat bemoaning the degradation of Minotaur physiques through time, through interbreeding with human women.
That's right. Yeah, or you just end up with like he doesn't have the head of a bull; he just has the brain of a bull. He's just like a really stupid guy.
Only interested in eating grass and headbutting his
normal man with the nose of a cow. That would be like the true hell. Sorry, we've gone a bit off topic. Sorry, Jerry.
Set goals for yourself and stay productively occupied. Don't allow yourself to get bored. If you don't direct yourself in a positive direction, the voices will direct you in a negative one. Most of these pieces of advice, I think, are just good things for people to do, schizophrenia or not.
Right. Like none of these are specific use cases, right?
And this is why I really do think that Jerry is, well, there are many reasons why I don't think Jerry is trying to scam people. But importantly, these pieces of advice don't require you to pay him large sums of money. I mean, you're beyond
100%.
Yeah, beyond
no
just buying
here.
this ebook, where I forget how much I paid for it. It was probably $10 or something.
He gives it away on his website.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he if you want the more actionable parts of this book, he just has it online for free.
Yeah. So it's like completely, it's not a scam. He 100% believes this.
But he and Sherry are trying to help.
Absolutely trying to help.
And then they just start talking about EMF meters using to quote measure ghosts.
Oh my god! Krillian
photography. They couldn't help themselves. Yeah. They just threw that into the book. It absolutely does not need to be there. It adds nothing, but it is pretty funny. Where this they couldn't help it. They just had to throw it in. It's
like you're definitely harming your credibility among a certain audience of readers by adding those two paragraphs. For me, I'm more convinced, but certain people.
It's a shame Levi didn't get to read this book.
Oh, he could. Oh, also,
this would have set him off so much.
This is an overnight novel, by the way.
You can read this really quickly.
This is a quick read, breezy, lots of pictures, really big typeface. It's quick. It's enjoyable. I would this is a recommended read for me. For me, this is a recommended read because worst case scenario, you didn't spend a whole lot of time on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'd definitely recommend maybe the middle third of the book to a particular person. Like, you need to be the person
Middle
who is...
Middle third's the best bit,
Yeah, sort of interested in this. The first third it's not bad, but it's there's a lot of describing just the most fucked up psychiatric therapies through history.
And it's like something that, I don't know.
It's got less character. Yeah. I feel like in the middle third, they hit their stride because they've got that screenplay-like format of just like big quotes from various people. You get more pictures. They're talking about...
I feel like they're
talking about talking to incubi and succubi.
Yeah.
It's really good. The last third of the book feels a little bit more psychotic than... a bit more free associational, just like throwing in more stuff about... It's way more woo-woo, but not in as fun a way. The middle third is where the woo-woo... Where I suspect it's Sherry's woo-woo and Jerry's... I have been just treating psychotic patients for 35 years or something.
Yeah, it's like nice, it's dominated by... Yeah, it's dominated by like Jerry and Van Dusen.
Yeah.
So the clinical psychiatrist.
I feel like the first third is a bit too Jerry and it's a little dry. And the last third is too Sherry and it's just still a bit too much. This woman probably hears voices in her head to this day. But the middle third is where they're working in concert. And that is good. The biggest complaint I have about the first third, and I agree, the first third, the first portion is the worst bit. My biggest complaint about it is just that, like, I have read this like listicle of weird old therapeutics a million times, right? This is not the first time I heard about the vomit chair. The spinning chair.
Yeah, this is not the first time I heard about fucking water therapy or, he didn't even get into enemas, right? I would have thought he would have gotten into emetic therapy. Yeah.
And this goes for probably anyone who would read this book. Like, you will have come across the really horrific descriptions of what people did to try to cure psychosis.
Right. If you're the kind of person who's listening to this, this will be old hat to you.
Yeah.
But, worst case scenario, you're spending like 20, 30 minutes on it. So, whatever.
It is, that middle third I would recommend. It is a lot of fun.
Middle third's great.
Yeah. I just came across this in my notes. It's kind of unrelated. But I do like that Jerry would often call upon the Archangel Michael to quiet his patients' voices.
Yep.
And I bet when he said... He doesn't specify, but it's probably the prayer to Archangel Michael.
Sure. Yeah. Which is like what... The Michael prayer is like 5 lines long. It's very quick.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I should say we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but one thing that we should note is that his recommended like clinical methodology here does not actually require his explanation of like a cosmological cause of schizophrenia in order to be clinically effective. It doesn't require that. Like the talk therapy aspect of this, like, is like could have therapeutic value even if the voices are truly hallucinatory and have no exterior cause for the patient. Like simply because like the malign influence is a voice, and so you should be able to counter it in some way by just creating methods for managing its influence, right?
Especially the Sherry method of just getting in the voice's face.
Yeah, like just like, you know, deny the voice, right? But like counteract it, give yourself some agency. Like these are all healthier perspectives that will allow a person to manage their affairs better than, you know, being a passive victim of these, you know, these abusive messages, whether you're generating them yourself or they are actually coming from Gnostic entities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if I think that there's room for someone to do the whole like file the esoterica serial numbers off of this and propose like a very conventional method of talk therapy for schizophrenic patients that takes into account their specific circumstances. I think there's totally a case for that.
I want the opposite. I want people to do
You want it to be more woo.
a full zoology of all of the different types of voices they come across, and specifically what they are as spiritual entities. I want them to explore the spirit world more. That if Jerry and Sherry do a sequel to this, which I hope they do, I want them to go into way more detail, because they both repeatedly talk about how, in talking to different psychotic patients, they were noticing it, like this is the same terrain being accessed through speaking to the voices. I want them to map that terrain out in much more detail.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That, in terms of like a book I would read, that I would buy.
Oh
that
yes,
day
yes,
one.
of course. Well, you should read Pittman's Demons. Yeah, Howard Pittman's book on demons, which
he just did that.
He's deceased. He's like he was like a 70s guy. Actually, I think maybe Pittman's Placebo, which is about his near-death experience. I think that's might be on Jerry's recommended reading list.
Oh yeah, this looks good.
But
this looks really.
He was a Baptist minister who had a near-death experience when he was 35, and then wrote a bunch of books about that. So
yeah, this suffered what appeared to be a physical death as a result of a sudden rupture of an internal artery. It doesn't matter which one, just one of them ruptured. Oh, it's probably just like a AAA or something. Yeah, that sounds really good.
But yeah, I mean, but seriously, there is like, I think that there is a opportunity for someone to create a more generally something that would be, if the optics were managed correctly, not like this book.
If they didn't acknowledge their intense debt to An Amazing Journey into the Psychotic Mind, breaking the spell of the Ivory Tower.
To create a therapeutic program that, you know, that is talk based, that would assist. You know, I mean, like the thing is that it's not like that. This would be the only example of that, because like mindfulness based therapies were created by like Kabat-Zinn, John Kabat-Zinn. And the first time that he, you know, when mindfulness-based therapies started becoming popularized, he had like actually, the first time he tried it, he gave all the credit for the methods to the Buddhist meditation practices that they were based on, right? Got nowhere. And then he filed the serial numbers off, took all the Buddhist references out, did just total methodology and effects, and then like, that's his fucking career that was his career for 50 years. Like,
so Jerry, if you're listening,
yeah, Jerry, you gotta manage the optics.
But the optics did make this a very fun book.
Yes.
Really fun book.
All to our benefit. That has somewhat limited the appeal, though.
Yeah.
So
anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we both recommended at least a portion of the book, which for these sort of books is pretty good.
it's pretty good. I don't think we actually, the other two books that we've covered together, I don't think either of them were recommended.
No, neither
of
will
us.
recommend. Yeah, the highest recommendation was look at some of the pictures in Vought.
That's right. That's right. Look at the pretty pictures. Don't look at the pictures in this one. The pictures in this one are really stupid.
They're not so good here.
Oh, actually, I will say, other than the old advertisement for Thorazine, which goes super hard.
Oh, is that the one with the big eye?
The gigantic eyeball and the
Yeah.
tiny man who's like in a like braced alarm stance. Like that goes super hard. If I was, Eli Lilly put me in charge of advertising for your antipsychotics. That's the type of like pharmaceutical ad I wouldn't. I mean, I guess you don't see pharmaceutical ads on television,
No,
because
no.
you don't live in Burgerland. But for those of us in the blessed state of America. We
can impulse buy Thorazine. You see,
Yeah,
see
we
an
get
advertisement
to
for it and go,
see-
you know what I think I need?
Yeah, we get to see pharmaceutical advertisements on TV, but I think that they should do antipsychotic ads, and they should make them go super fucking hard.
Yeah,
They should make them
to
go
scare the
like that
shit out of
Thorazine
people.
ad. Yeah, it's just like voices. They should just backmask a bunch of shit into the ads. They should just play it backwards.
You could get so
Make
much
it
more
super
creative with that than
disorienting.
just in television advertisements. I don't know, just upload something into someone's phone so it starts whispering to them.
Oh, so true. So true.
Yeah.
Just
Get it to infect
YouTube
their
ads.
Bluetooth earbuds. So occasionally it'll just call out their name in the middle of a podcast.
I wonder if you could like can you like commission a YouTube or a Spotify ad that rather than interrupting the program can just sort of play at like 1/10 volume in the background of whatever it is, like in a very subtle way. It sort of comes in and out of audibility.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be good. I think that would be good. What you'd have to do is you would need to be abusive. Like you'd need to have focus group testing with schizophrenics to make sure that it really sounded like
really alarm them.
Abusive hallucination. And then in the show notes you'd have a link to to really just buying your anti-dopaminergic agent of choice.
Yeah. That's right. Anyway. There's probably like one private equity guy in the audience, and he's like, "That's it. That's my ticket to $1 billion." And then he does it.
Yeah. Mark Andreessen will probably fund it massively when he's done funding gambling apps.
Follow me back, Andreessen.
Coward.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most powerful skull shape in the world, Mark Andreessen. I'm surprised we didn't phrenologize him in the Vought episode. He has a remarkably shaped skull.
We're remarking upon it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's literally a remarkable skull shape. It's just a perfect cone.
Hold on. I got to look up Mark Andreessen. Wow. It really kind of it's an egg. It's like a perfectly formed egg.
There are not many people's skulls that I could identify just by... Like, it's not often I could identify a person just by looking at their skull, but I'm fairly confident I could pick that skull out of a lineup.
Honestly, the thing is that it's because he has the sort of like 5 o'clock shadow of hair remaining as sort of like a halo around the sides. I think it really truncates the width of it and makes it appear even more pronouncedly like conical. I
mean, maybe it's intentional. He recognized that was the direction his skull was moving in and decided to accentuate it.
He has the holy smoke head.
Yeah.
He does.
That's how you get the biggest hedge fund. VC fund, the biggest hedge fund in the world. A Freudian slip. His
never
skull
getting that
is
follow
wormed
back
its way
now.
into my unconscious.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he does have the holy smoke head. That's what Vought would say. Vought would say, here is a man who has a strong spiritual life. So
If people have no idea what we're talking about, just have a
listen to the other episode.
The Vort's Practical Character Reader episode. On that,
Absolutely.
Do you have more to say about this book?
No, I think we've gone through the whole thing. I would recommend everyone
Check it out. Send Jerry and Sherry some money. Buy a copy. They, unlike I think most people putting out alternative medicine stuff, I think they are really actually trying to help.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're trying to help. I think their heart's in the right place. I think it's an interesting read. It's worth your time, and it's worth your 10 spot. So
nice. And for everyone listening, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.